Hello, myself Sunil R Nair, and here basically we are discussing about the attraction and which generation is supposed to go next and which generation is not supposed to go next. In this, basically, we are discussing about one topic basically that is the software companies basically which says that we basically handles the 5 crore caste, 5 crore that people basically, and we handles each and everything. Before that, basically, we will go to that software. That all are basically normal softwares only basically, which has the software company basically everything. But there basically the server basically might be different. Mostly each and everything basically might be different. And their roadmap of the roadmap basically might be different. Roadmap basically, for example, that particular person is basically using the internet. That software company is using the internet. Their internet data roadmap basically is different. Yeah, for example, private banks roadmap basically they are different, and the banks government roadmaps are totally different. Man. They are totally different. Basically. So here, just roadmap is connected with the software company. Rest of things basically are in roadmap. Basically, the big software companies also basically creates their roadmaps also. So like this, what is about the road? Now here, basically, the thing is basically we are talking about one topic that is basically the earthquake basically. We had taken that example that 5 crore people basically uh, 5 crore people basically got the birth from the 22 age. Their story started. Their story basically it's not easy, right? If you are having a journey in the world, then it's not easy to get the journey basically. It's very tough basically you can say. So in the Earth planet, to have a normal life basically it's not so easy. So to journey basically started from 20 to age. Then basically the each and every human basically that is the 5 crore people, their journey basically are controlling by that computers. So that is not so, that is basically very difficult basically. That is more difficult. So here we basically was talking about one topic that is basically earthquake. How basically earthquakes are connected that basically we are seeing. So this is also one of the story of earthquake. For example, he told that basically 5 crore people basically there are around 1 lakh story. There are basically 1 lakh story which is basically mapped by that writer basically who actually written the story of this caste people basically. So the story basically of the caste people basically was written by this 1 lakh this story of 1 lakh basically was written by the this particular person. That is basically the writer basically, and mostly it is a Bollywood writer who only writes the story. So he basically told that basically if any this type of activity happens to this particular caste, then disease has to be spread. This whole disease basically need to spread in the environment. If the particular incidents basically happens to that particular person, that particular caste, then earthquake basically is supposed to happen. If the this activity happens, then basically the tsunami has to happen. If that activity happens, then basically the ice tsunami has to happen. If anything happens like this, then basically mountain basically has to get some dangerous disaster. Like this, basically the writer basically told that basically we have written this all thing basically. So just see the dangerous level. So you can say that the all the natural disaster basically which is happening, that basically is on the base of the caste basically, on the base of the writer basically also you can say. So like this basically this caste basically somebody writer basically has written like that. If anything happens to this particular caste, because they are basically going to use in the earth planet purpose, right? Because when the earth planet is going to move to this universe area, that time basically this caste energy are basically going to use. That's why basically the writer basically told that we have written according to the energy groups told. So he told that basically if in this basically we have created around around assume some 15 blood groups basically we have allocated to this group. So if anything happens to this blood group, then this earthquake is supposed to happen. And if anything happens to that particular blood group, then tsunami has to happen. If anything happens to that particular blood group, then basically the um, sea tsunami has to happen. Like this, basically each and every things basically has allocated, and this happens everything legally basically. That's why the each and every government departments are there basically, each and every sectors are there basically who tracks each and every people's complaints. They tracks the complaints, they see each and every complaints basically, and then the reaction happens. And the now basically the question is basically how basically that group basically might be tracking that this, if anything happens, if this has happened to this particular caste, then earthquake has to happen. So where basically the writer has written the thing, then he told that basically this everything is I have written in the environment. That is basically the nuclear power company, and the power company basically they spreads in the environment, and every each and every activity basically which happens, and according to that basically he checks each and everything basically. So literally, basically, in our planet, basically each and every activity, if one person is having happiness, then basically it might possible that he basically might not be get happy next after some time. So like this, basically, he's happy, he's not happy. Then he's not happy currently, so it might possible that he might be happy tomorrow. If he's not happy tomorrow, then basically day after tomorrow. So like this, basically the journey basically keeps on going. So like this, basically, if he is not happy, then basically what are the things going to happen in the environment? This whole disease basically is going to spread. That disease, this disease, that disease, this disease. So government basically knows each and everything. Government says that basically we know each and everything basically. That writer has written like this basically. If anything happens to that particular person, then this activity has to happen. If this happens to that particular person, then earthquake is supposed to happen. Now here basically one person told that basically how basically you decides that where in which country basically the earthquake has to happen. In which country basically earthquake has to happen, that basically who decides? That basically question is that basically is question basically. That basically mostly government basically might be deciding, but there might be some parameter basically. There might be some parameter, there might be some parameter basically, and on the basis of the parameters only basically the things are basically written. So writer basically has written. So this is also basically one of the software basically, right? But this type of software basically mostly it can't keep this type of critical information basically. It can't basically keep the critical information basically. Why? Because for example, this five from 5 crore people, something happened to the person basically, and basically suddenly basically the big earthquake basically came to that country basically, which is the very most secure country. And when they basically tracked that basically why the earthquake has came, then they connected to this story basically, and they told the country basically due to you this earthquake has happened. So you tell basically what should we do? Should we start the war or basically you are doing something? Like this basically literally the professional groups are there. They are basically purely professional groups. So like these things are there. So it's very dangerous basically. It's not dangerous. It is basically very dangerous. So this basically is what actually. This is what actually. This is basically you can say it's a system basically of the 5 crore people basically which is created. System is created specially for this 5 crore people basically. The system specially is created for the 5 crore, and it is basically written in the energy format in the environment. And that basically assume that that basically is written in some software or some Excel file or some Word basically. If this each and every blood group basically is allocated, if this particular blood group basically anything happens to that particular person, if anything happens to this particular blood group, if anything happens to that particular blood group, related to this 5 crore people basically. So each and every people basically who are basically connecting, sorry, who are basically within this 5 crore people basically, there basically the World Bank has basically allocated certain level of money. So according to that, basically the money things basically works. So like this, basically the this was about the earthquake. Not only earthquake, basically disease, tsunamis, air tsunamis, mountain tsunami, ice tsunami. Like this, basically each and every basically things basically are written with. Now the question basically asked to the writer basically why you have allocated like this basically. Is this is connected to the that place basically where these energies are going to be used, or this is connecting to some uh, some care energy basically. Care energy means whenever these energies basically are going to be used in that side basically in the universe basically, universe side basically, that time you want to say that basically we have taken this type of care also basically, that thing basically you are also going to send there basically. Is it like that, or basically something totally different thing is there? And one person literally asked that is earthquakes are connected to that. If earthquake is happening in this side, and then the energies are also basically used of that particular group basically, then is earthquake is energies are also basically connected to that area basically where the earth planet is going to move. Tsunami when it is going to happen, that then is tsunami is also connected with the energy which is going to use when the earth planet is going to move that side basically. Then he told that basically might be basically. Might be. So what is this story basically? He told literally told. So basically he told that basically in that in universe basically how which type of energy basically tsunami generates. Then he told that which type of energy basically the earthquake basically generate there basically. Then he told that what actually happens to earthquake basically. Earthquake basically is a stable environment. That this whole group basically are, for example, 5 crore people are stable, stable as usual as a stable, and suddenly something happens to that particular 5 crore people. Some of the people basically, then earthquake basically happened. Basically, in real basically they were stable, but suddenly happened earthquake. Who was suddenly basically earthquake basically happened, and the stable basically environment basically was getting controlled by these 5 crore people. So you want to say that this all energy basically is also going to generate in that 5 crore that universe side basically, because earthquake then basically what actually the earthquake is. He basically literally asked for the question basically what actually earthquake is. Just please explain it. What actually earthquake is? What actually earthquake is? Just explain it. What actually earthquake is? So how basically it is connecting earthquake to the universe basically in that particular place when this entire energy is going to merge with the group with the help of the nuclear power company and the power company and the energy company, what they are going to, what they are actually correcting from that earthquake basically. The earthquake basically means what? Stable environment is there, it becomes suddenly unstable. So what happens, and if the earthquake happens then in environment basically what energy basically it generate? You just told that basically the stable environment is there, and in stable basically if anything happens the incidents, then basically you have stated that if anything bad happens to that particular person basically, for a particular group basically, then the unstable environment will open or will happen automatically, because you have set it that you have basically set it according to that in the in the environment, right? You have set it everything in the environment. So what basically is the earthquake actually? We basically literally not able to understand basically what actually the earthquake is in. that area basically what actually this energy is going to generate in that particular area, what really basically it is going to generate when the earth planet is going to move to that side, and at that time basically this 5 crore people data is going to be collected, and we are going to send the data to that area basically with the help of the satellites. That time basically in earthquake has happened, earthquake basically has happened, stable environment basically become unstable, and like this basically the data basically has sent to the that particular area, and that basically succeeded also. So what actually is this? This is that basically we are taking care of the particular person. Is it like that? We are basically taken care of the 5 crore people. You want to say that the care energy basically generated, or you want to say that the Earth planet basically literally is going to take care of the universe. They are not going to do any harm. You want to say spread that environment in that particular area in the universe. You want to spread that environment in the universe, that this all basically people basically are taking care, and we are going to take care of this all basically 5 crore energy, and we are going to take care of this 5 crore people basically. So you want to spread that we are basically setting the environment of this 5 crore people in the universe basically. You want to say that you want to spread the environment of the 5 crore people, that basically 5 crore people are basically taking care by the writer. Means writer means the nuclear power companies and the energy companies basically, that are IPCL energies, IPCL is there, ONGC is there, Reliance is there, then AIMS oxygen is also there. So you want to say that these all are basically going to take care of universe. So you want to say this. So like this basically in universe basically AIMS oxygen and Reliance and IPCL are going to say that basically we are taking care of this 5 crore energy basically, and we are going to take care of this 5 crore energy basically, that is basically by default the human souls. Then they told that basically then they literally told that basically what actually human souls is basically, how basically you created this human souls basically. That question basically the one of the person basically asked, because you are taking care of these human souls which is generated from the computer, right? So in computer actually what you have written that basically the environment is going to generate that we are taking care of these human souls, and that human souls are basically going to generate the energy in the that particular environment. And when the earth planet is going to move to that side, that time basically that time this 5 crore energies are basically going to generate this all energy basically. So you want to say that this all basically groups are going to take care of the universe. That means you want to say the earth planet basically is going to take care of the universe, like this thing basically you want to spread in the universe, or basically what is that basically? Literally basically the question basically was asked, what actually the earthquake is, what is actually tsunami basically you are doing from this, what is lava blast basically, how basically lava blast is going to connect, because you have written the lava blast is going to also happen if anything happens to this blood group. Lava blast is also going to happen if your anything is happening to the particular blood group. So why you have written this all this thing basically? The writer basically was told that basically you have to write this whole thing. This was basically the energy level writer basically. He has written. So what actually this story is basically? How basically he has written this story basically? Then he told that basically if he has basically taken around 15 blood groups from the 22, and this 15 blood group basically has been divided to different countries, and 5 crore people is there, And 5 crore people basically I have divided this 15 blood groups basically. And if anything happens to this blood group, this is going to happen. If this blood group, that is going to happen. Like this basically I have written. So that basically in the environment everything is going to happen. And that energy basically nuclear power companies is going to collect. Nuclear power companies going to collect, and then the nuclear power company is going to collect, and uh, then basically the things are going to be like that. So you want to say that the everywhere basically if anybody speak the name of Reliance, if anybody speaks the name of Reliance, then you are going to inject the energy inside the body. You are going to do like that. That if anybody says the Reliance name, then basically in environment automatically something gets activate, and then basically we are going to inject something in his body. Like this environment basically like this energy you have created in the environment, and this energy basically is going to generate in you, and you want to spread something in universe, that we are doing damage to his body parts. Like this also environment basically you want to spread in universe. So like this basically things are also basically there. So like this also things are basically there. So here the question is basically about the earthquake basically, and each and every natural disaster basically which happens in the environment, that is directly connected with the set of stories that also you can see. So the writer basically has written each and every story, and according to the story, basically gets connect to the environment energy. That is basically the stories basically which is created in the cities. Whenever they connects to this each and every areas, according to the areas basically that connects to the set of story energies, and the things basically keeps on going. And according to the story basically the writer has already written that if anything happens to this particular blood group, then basically this story is going to generate. He also basically written one story, and government also basically written some story. So and here the question basically is, the government and this nuclear power company are enemy? That basically question basically literally somebody asked. So like this government also has written some story, and the nuclear power company also written some story in the environment related to this particular blood group. And then basically you have written that if anything happens to this blood group, then tsunami has to come. If anything happens to that blood group, then basically if anything happens to person's leg, then basically this big earthquake is going to happen in the mountain. Like this thing you have written, very big earthquake basically, the highest earthquake basically which has just now occurred basically. Sorry, basically not occurred. Highest earthquake basically which has happened in 1942. That was basically of some magnitude. So you have written like that basically if anything happens to this body parts, then basically the highest magnitude basically earthquake which has came, that is going to break. Like this thing you have written. So like this basically each and every basic blood group, according to the blood group, the things has been written basically. Who has written? That is basically the nuclear energy basically. Because to write story basically only nuclear power company group, energy power company group, and power company group only can able to write, because they only have the authority basically. They only have got the license, which is issued by the Bollywood groups, and which is issued by the nuclear power company groups also, and signed by the governments, that are by default by the top level people basically in the sitting in the government post. So just see basically, one side it's a government has written one story, another side the nuclear power company has written the story, and third side basically his story basically is itself body is itself story. That is basically human clone, which is written by one of the software company basically. And this all basically is going to generate one environment energy, which is going to collected by the set of nuclear power companies, and which is going to be placed in that particular area where the earth planet is going to move. At that time basically these all 5 crore energy is going to be used. So like this to set this environment, and the environment should be successfully done. For that basically lots of rehearsal, lots of process basically happens. And in this basically the government basically say that this is our routine process basically, this is not new for us, this is basically not new for us basically. This is basically not new for us. So like this basically lots of process are there. Nuclear power company do the process, human clone system do the human so clone created company basically do the process. Because they have told that basically in 22 age basically that particular person has started his journey with it. But then basically we have created lots of the certificates, we have created date of birth certificate, we have created basically the in front of world basically. If anybody say that basically from 22 age he has started his journey basically, then basically nobody is going to believe this. Nobody basically, mostly people basically are not going to believe this. That basically he started from his birth basically from 22 age. Then basically literally people will say that what is telling here. Like this basically things are also happening. So like this basically things are there. Like this basically the human clone departments basically comes into the picture, because they have created the human clone, and they will be responsible for these 5 crore people, and the whatever the environment which is going to generate, and whatever things going to happen due to these 5 crore people. And due to these 5 crore people, whenever the environment is going to generate in the universe environment, this group will be responsible. This group will be responsible because they have created. Na? Because they have assumed that AIMS oxygen also basically says that basically we have created and lots of complaints basically goes with them. AIMS oxygen company basically the things basically you have basically given the birth, you have allocated the human souls inside his body. So basically we are only going to give the complaints. So government keeps on giving complaint, keeps on giving complaint, keeps on giving complaint. Literally at last basically they say that basically now basically we can't take care of the same this particular person basically, so we are allocating the death human death energy basically inside his body. Then basically they told that basically for death energy basically we can directly give him death. For that basically we will do one thing, we will give him HIV AIDS, then basically he will automatically will die after a certain time, after a certain time. Like this basically the nuclear power company also takes the this type of decision. Then basically they only basically have to give the answer basically. If in future basically this all energy is the person basically who died, his energy was actually required, then basically the universe group is going to ask the answer basis. They are going to ask the question basically, why you killed that particular person. That literally they are going to ask the question basically, why you killed that particular person, because his energy basically was used, and he basically got succeed also. Like this basically the things are also there basically. Like this few countries says that basically we are master in this, we are master in that. Like this also things are basically there. We are master in breaking head, we are master in breaking leg, we are master in breaking hand. Like this we are master basically. We have spreaded each and every environment basically in the particular area. They basically automatically gets activated basically, and we are basically mastering it. We are basically mastering it. And the 5 crore basically people says that basically we have got the journey, but we also don't know basically from where we have came, who are basically our father mother, that also basically we don't know. We have started our journey from 22 age. These all things are also basically there. So like this, you can just basically imagine basically the process, the journey of the Earth planet, which is basically getting generated in the universe basically, and the things basically which gets generated. Then one person basically told that basically he told that the earthquake basically happens. So here the God energy basically gets activated. That also basically one of the person told that. So you want to say that the God is basically taking care of the this particular human souls. You want to say that because you have located this all God also basically that you that 5 crore people basically has told that basically these all are basically your God. They are going to take care of you. Anything going to happen. So write this basically. The writer basically says that I have written this whole thing basically that. If anything happens to this particular human souls, then basically this god is going energy is going to activate. So you want to say that in this god basically energy basically if anything is happened to this particular blood group, then tsunami is going to happen. If anything is happened to this particular blood group, then earthquake is going to happen. If anything is going to happen to this particular blood group, then basically mountain ice blast is going to happen. If anything is going to happen to that particular blood group, then basically sea tsunami is going to happen. So you have written like this in the environment. Like this basically literally basically the argument basically which was ongoing. So here basically we are discussing that the attraction object and the faster level, and here basically we are discussing that the next generation is supposed to go or not supposed to go. In this basically we have taken one example of 5 crore human clones, which is basically created by certain software companies, and which is basically the writer are basically these all groups, and they basically have written according to the blood group, and the total blood group is allocated, that is 15 blood group. So in detail basically we are going to discuss this all these things basically actually what is this, what is basically the earthquake, what is tsunami, and how basically these all are basically connecting to the universe basically. In universe basically earth planet when it's going to move, that time basically how what is connection of earthquake basically that time in that basically universe area basically, how basically the tsunami is connected with that particular area in universe basically, because that the 5 crore energy is going to generate there, their energies are going to be used there. So there basically how what is the use of tsunami, what is the use of earthquakes, what is the use of big earthquakes, small earthquakes, what is the use of the air tsunami, ice tsunami, mountain tsunami, like this basically what is the use of this all, that basically we are going to discuss in detail in next video.